Welcome everybody for the AI4T, the after event webinar. Thank you all for joining us in such a lovely number. Today, our goal is to share some basic information with you about our project, what we have done, how we have done it. Sorry, just a second. You can see my screen? Yes? Okay,
yes, perfect.
Thank you for nodding. So it's the presentation mode. Sometimes this is perfect. Thank you. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this is the final event of our AI4T project, our Erasmus Plus project, a very successful partnership with numerous very positive and very useful resources and results. My name is Petra Bivek. I come from Slovenia, from the Slovenian Ministry of Education. We were part of this wonderful consortium, and we're very happy today to join you for this, to welcome you for this event, and thank you for joining us. As I mentioned, the webinar is recorded and will be available on our website for you to share with your colleagues, and at the same time to review if you're going to need instructions, because the first part of the webinar is intended for presentations. Of course, this is supposed to be a very relaxed event, so our goal was to share the information with you to a larger crowd, we want to give you the opportunity to, on one hand, know the resources that have been developed, the evaluation, and a bit about the project. And then the second part is is supposed to be a panel discussion with different representatives of our target groups. And it's an open thing. So I invite you all to post your questions in the chat of the Zoom. We have also created a Padlet. During the question sessions we have, if you want, you can raise a hand. Nevertheless, we would still like to keep it within the hour and a half that we have planned, not to interfere with your afternoon too much. That's why we created a Padlet. I'm going to share the QR code later on. And you can, of course, add your comments, ideas. It's prepared so that you can use it. This is a very short, this is the description of the program today. And on this stage, with everything that I have said at the beginning, I pass my word to Manuel. He's going to be the co-moderator for today, and I'm just going to check how we're doing with the participants. Manuel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Petra. I join Petra in thanking and welcoming everyone present. Following the project conclusion, we'll continue to demonstrate our dedication to the theme of the analysis of the relation between AI and education by hosting this event. Today, as in all the project, we propose an overarching approach that calls into question not only the role of educators, but also our own profession as a researcher and at the public at large. It's clear that the education sector is at the heart of this transformation. And today we will explore this topic together through multiple sessions that will give you an overview of the AI4T project results. Afterwards, we will have the panel discussion to figure out the potential future scenario and how they effectively manage the new complexity determined by AI innovation. So again, welcome everyone, and Petra, we can start with the presentation.
I have just shared a poll. Hope that you have received it. This is a poll that we intend to use for the second part of the event for the panel discussion. Please take your time and reply. We would very much appreciate to have a starting point for the discussion. So permit me, I'll just have a look if Benedict Evelyn hasn't been able to join.
I don't know, maybe.
No, she's trying, but she's having issues, but I'm here for Effie.
Okay, so in that case, I will now pass the floor to you for the presentation of the project and a couple of introductory words.
Yeah, thank you, Petra. So sorry for the little stress on technology, you know. It's quite amazing how we always speak about AI4T and artificial intelligence, and then we have some technology issues. It's always the same. It's quite, you know, it's quite funny. So I think you can hear me fine, right? So perfect. So maybe some of you know me, Sabrina Rivera from France Education Internationale, the coordinator of the project. Normally it's Eveline Ure, which is the official project manager of AI4T. But I will give you some quick words just to do the introduction. So thank you, Petra, and everyone for organizing this very nice event which concludes many months and many years of work together. So which is very nice to see you all. So the AI4T project is a project that is started in 2021 and just finished in February 2024, which is an Erasmus Plus Key Action 3 project, which means that it's a support to policy development and cooperation. So it was an experimental project with 5 countries, France, Slovenia, Italy, Ireland, and Luxembourg. And actually, which is quite interesting about this partnership is that we have 17 partners. So it's a huge consortium with 5 ministries of education. We had universities, research laboratories. We had evaluation partners, which were, Aurélie will talk about it later on, but they were the experts on the evaluation of impact of the project. And then we had researchers developing content, pedagogical content, and resources that we will hear about also in a couple of minutes. So the AI4T project was a 3-year project that was intended to support secondary schools teachers in the use of artificial intelligence in the classroom. So we try to give informed and sensibilized teachers to use AI in the classroom, to create a professional learning pathway that promotes meaningful use. So we create tools and resources for them to use these tools in the classroom and to understand what it meant to talk about it. And we try to address contextualization, acceptability, relevance, and usefulness in educational context in the use of AI. So who was the target group? We intend to do this training pathway and this project for teachers on mathematics, science, and modern English. So the word is the main target groups. How we do that, what we created. So we created an AI4T professional learning pathway that had 2 main phases. So we had a pilot phase and a full-scale experimentation. So maybe Aurélie will talk about it a little bit also for evaluation purposes. But in the first phase of the project, so the first year, we did a pilot phase with a smaller number of schools to understand how to use the training pathway, to know how teachers react to the tools, to the MOOC and the textbook that we will see in some minutes. And then in regards of what they tell us that worked and didn't work, we create a second version of this training pathway, which was the full-scale experimentation. It was done from November 2022 until June 2023. And we had the participation of over 1,000 educators from 300 schools, 302 actually, schools. In this training pathway, we had online sessions, face-to-face meetings, webinars, the AI4T MOOC, and the AI4T Open Textbook. So that's mostly the elements that we wanted to share with you. And if you have questions, of course, we will discuss everything that we had on the website, and the AI4T website. You have everything there. And of course, we're very happy to be part of this event. So I will give you the floor to you now, Petra.
Thank you, Lina. Yes, you have more additional information about the project and our resources and results and the deliverables on the AI4T webpage. I shall share it later on in the chat, those of you that haven't had the opportunity to visit it yet. And the question for this first part after the presentations will be immediately after all the presentations. So at this stage, I would kindly invite Aurélie to present the evaluation part of our project, to give the participants from today the feedback of what did we actually find out. So the floor is yours, Aurélie.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Does it work? Yes. So thank you, Petra, for introducing me, and thank you, Lina, for introducing the project. As Petra said, I'm Aurélie Paris. I'm the coordinator of the evaluation of the AI4T project, an evaluation that was conducted, designed, and implemented by 5 partners, 1 in each country. And I'm here to present the result of that work. So first, the objective of the evaluation. The evaluation objectives was to shed light on the state of teachers' knowledge, perceptions, and use of AI in the 5 countries at the beginning of the experiment, and then to measure the impact of providing professional learning pathways to teachers on said knowledge, perception, and use of AI. But the evaluation also took on a comprehensive approach by identifying the factor influencing the successes or challenges of the intervention and the adjustments that could be made based on teachers and school leaders' insights. Regarding the evaluation method, it was based on a randomized control trial, which means that we compared a group of teachers who took part in the professional learning pathway during the experimentation period with a group of teachers with similar characteristics who took part in the professional learning pathway after the experimentation period. So thanks to that, we're really able to identify the specific impact of the professional learning pathway, controlling for other variables. We used a variety of evaluation instruments. We conducted surveys with teachers, school leaders, and pupils, interviews with teachers and school leaders, and the lawyer, another partner of the project, also measured the digital traces on the MOOC to assess how the teachers interacted with its content. To evaluate the evolution of teachers' perception, knowledge, and use of AI, we designed a theoretical framework and quantifiable outcomes based on existing research on digital technologies, AI, and professional learning. On this slide, you can see the sample. You can see that there were 3 countries with bigger samples, which we conducted the full evaluation analysis, France, Italy, and Slovenia, and 2 countries with smaller samples, Ireland and Luxembourg. The sample was made up mostly of math and modern language teachers, 80% approximately. And one thing that is important to note before I present the results is that the teachers were volunteers. So these results are representative of a population of teachers who is inclined to participate in an AI training. So I will first present the teachers' pre-experiment perceptions, knowledge, and use of AI, which I will illustrate with a few results for these 3 outcomes. So at the beginning of the experiment, a striking result that we had is that teachers had a highly positive attitude towards AI. We can see a high level of agreement with the usefulness of AI, with the enjoyment in using AI, and the perceived ease of use of AI. While on the other hand, a few teachers indicated that they thought using AI tools would make them anxious. Regarding the knowledge, we see a moderate level of knowledge of AI. Most teachers, when asked, how would you rate your knowledge of AI, answered either rather good or rather poor. So they self-assessed themselves having a moderate level of knowledge of AI. And an important result also that we saw is that at the beginning of the experiment, almost half of the teachers indicated that they did not know, they could not give an example of an AI tool that could be used for an educational purpose. So it indicates that they had not a very concrete view of the AI tools that existed at the time. Regarding the use of AI, we see variation depending on the countries. In France and Italy, almost half of the teachers had not used educational AI tools for the job, while the same proportion drops to 29% in Slovenia, and 21% and 20% in the Irish and Luxembourgish samples. And this difference could be due in part to Slovenian teachers using more photomath, because we saw that the proportion of Slovenian teachers who use photomath was higher than in other countries. It's also important to note that teachers used other tools that were not specifically designed for education, such as machine learning. We see that 58% of language teachers had used machine learning at the beginning of the experiment. Now moving on to the evaluation of the professional learning pathways. First, we saw that there was a high level of satisfaction in general towards each part of the professional learning pathway. So the MOOC, the textbook, the webinar, and the face-to-face session in countries where they took place. And the variations between countries could be due to variations in the professional learning pathways, how they were conducted. For example, the textbook, we know that they were used to varying degrees depending on the countries. And the webinars also had different formats. So it seemed, based on the data, that teachers appreciated more the webinars when they were conducted in smaller groups and when they allowed for more interactions. The feedback that we received from teachers indicated that they were satisfied with the quality of the content, the expertise and responsiveness of the pedagogical team, and that they appreciated the peer-to-peer interactions and the blending learning approach. And for Italy, they appreciated the mix of interactive webinars with online resources. We could also link the satisfaction to the intervention with the impact of the intervention on teachers' knowledge of AI. It seemed that teachers really gained knowledge thanks to the intervention. The indicator, the self-assessment of knowledge of AI has increased. Also, their knowledge of how AI works, their familiarity with AI technology increased, and their ability to identify AI tools as AI also increased. We were able to measure this on the 3 countries with the bigger samples, but in Ireland and Luxembourg, we also saw similar trends on these variables. So teachers were quite satisfied with how they had learned about AI, but they also had a second expectations, as we saw in the responses, which was to receive concrete help to use AI tools. And on this, we had some feedback that the AI tools could have, that the AI4T training could have been more practical. And it's illustrated by the quote from that teachers who said that he would have appreciated for the professional learning pathway to present him with concrete situations from the classroom. On the impact of the interventions on teachers' use of AI, we see that in Italy, the intervention led teachers to test more AI tools. In France and Slovenia, it depends on the teacher's level of self-efficacy for integrating technology. We saw in France that on the tool Quick and VitaScience, which were 2 tools which were proposed during the professional learning pathway in France, that their use had increased only for teachers with high level of self-efficacy for integrating technology in the classroom. In Slovenia, it's teachers with low level of self-efficacy for integrating technology in the classroom who saw that their use of AI increased, and also their intention to use AI. In all countries, we see that the frequent use of AI has not increased, so more than once a week. In the short time of the experiment, it seems that teachers were not able to, did not integrate AI into their regular teaching practices. Beyond the intervention, there were other factors that may have hindered the use of AI. So participants mentioned that the access to AI tool was sometimes complicated by license fees, or by non-compliance of the tool with GDPR, or by directives from administrative authorities prohibiting the use of certain tools. And also in some, for some types of teachers, for example, in France, we had teachers from vocational schools who mentioned that the tools were not necessarily tailored to their specific needs. So that was also something that could hinder their use of AI. We also saw variations in school leaders' perceptions of AI, of the integration of AI as a priority. We see that in Italy, the Italian sample, 64% of school leaders mentioned that integrating AI in their school was a priority for them, but the proportion drops to 14% in France. In general, this priority was not shared by most teachers in the schools, according to school leaders. Only 1/4 of them in Italy and Slovenia and Luxembourg think that it's a priority for most teachers in the schools, and it's 5% in France. And also, there was more often a school committee or a task force discuss the use and plan the use of AI in the school in Italy and in Luxembourg than there was in Slovenia and France. So to summarize the result of the evaluation, we saw that at the beginning of the experiment, teachers had a positive attitude towards AI, a moderate knowledge of AI, and limited use of AI tools for education. For the impact of the study, we generally did not see any impact on teachers' perceptions of AI. That's why it was not presented. We saw, however, a significant impact on teachers' knowledge of AI and a limited impact on AI use. And the feedback from participants was that there was a high level of satisfaction with each part of the professional learning pathways, but a demand for more practical aspects and a limited access to AI tools that hindered the more extensive use of AI. So thank you. The evaluation reports are available on the website, as Petra said, and you can find more results there.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Orly, also for the timing and everything. So good. I've shared the links to the report and to the webpage in the chat. You can also find there the link to the Padlet. As I've mentioned at the beginning, the Padlet is an open space where you can share, exchange. We're going to keep it open and also post it on our webpage. And since our next presenter is far, far, far away, and Zoom connections enable us to connect to far, far, far away, so I open the floor and welcome Colin de la Higuera from the Nantes University. He's going to present to us from South America, from Montevideo, the AI4T Open Textbook. Colin, the floor is yours.
Hola, buen día. So I have got a view here, a magnificent view of the Rio de la Plata, just on my right, and all the wind on me is that. But anyhow, back to work. Actually, this is work also here. I mean, Uruguay is a very interesting country where they have got a huge culture of education. And from the 19th century onwards, they have moved consistently in favor of a very free and open education for all. So there's interesting lessons to be learned. Some of them can be related to the project, but nevertheless, the project we've heard, was successful. Thank you, Aurélie, for pointing this out. And one of the reasons for the success was that a lot of work was done on preparing resources. The key resource will be presented after this presentation, will be presented by Marie and Benedict, and is the MOOC. A lot of you will already know about it. As a secondary resource, we worked upon something we have been calling the textbook. The idea was to have an object which would probably be easier to manage, to update, to change, to collaborate, to do in a more, let's say, agile way. And in order to perhaps go a little bit further, either for those students, teachers who want to know more about AI, or about those who, for those who will be in charge of training and of organizing training sessions. So that's what the textbook was about. So let's see if something happens when I move things about. So this is what the textbook looks like. It was published in its second edition on the 18th of January this year. It was simultaneously published in 5 languages, and it is open. Open means that you can find it on an open platform, which is just the AI4T platform, which then will bring you to an editing platform. And you can pick it up, read it online, or pick up a PDF or an EPUB version in order to work offline. Some numbers about this. We had produced a first version of the textbook, which is the one that was evaluated in the report we have just seen by Aurélie, the first version. In November 22, so 1 month after releasing the textbook, the ChatGPT arrived. And of course, very quickly, we had European experts and teachers all saying, yeah, this is rubbish. You know, you are not producing the right resources. You should be talking about this. So, you know, I mean, it was a bit unlucky, if anything. We had been actually talking about GPT in the book, but we hadn't been talking about ChatGPT. So we still had some time, and that's what we worked on for the next 12 months. And we produced this second edition, which contained much more material, as I will show in a second. Today, this platform is accessed on the, this textbook is accessed in all these 5 languages. So you can see how many different readers we've had since the 18th of January. Actually, you would think that Slovene is the 5th ranking language, but it is now the 6th ranking language, because we've got another version in Chinese somewhere, which is slowly overtaking everybody. I mean, it's already overtaking Slovene, and will probably overtake Italy by the end of next week. So I will talk about the Chinese in a minute. What is the difference from between version 1 and version 2? Well, we produced some videos trying to explain some of the key points of AI. So the textbook tries to sort of maintain a sort of equilibrium between talking about all the social aspects of AI, of the pedagogical aspects of AI, but also explaining what AI is, to try and sort of make sure that everybody has an understanding of the mechanisms behind this. So these mechanisms in self-writing text, we decided to present them in videos. We also sort of had a number of collaborators, and I'm seeing Manuel here, but I know that there's other people around who have collaborated. Bastien is in the room somewhere. So we've had other collaborators writing individual chapters in this textbook. And of course, we did one whole entire new section just on generative AI. Basically, that means 40% extra content from version 1 to version 2. And this was an important ask by people from version 1. We made sure that it would be downloadable, that people could read offline and could print it. So this is the outline, and I'm not going to go into it, but you can see that it's all about why should we do something about AI? What does looking for information mean today in the age of AI? How do we manage learning in the age of AI? What personalization can mean in the age of AI? All the issues linking with language, and already in that case, we're stepping towards ChatGPT issues, of course. Then the generative AI issues, and what should be coming next. Of course, we're taking a gamble there, but we're trying to think, you know, what comes next in AI and education. So what now? At this point, the good news is that the textbook, which was launched on a commercial platform, even if it was an open platform, will now be on the CNR servers. So we're ensured that this textbook will keep on going for later. Second thing is that we have been consistently translating the textbook into new languages, including the Chinese I was talking about. And doing this means that we're doing it in a very sort of interesting way, which is that we're working with people on the ground in the different countries who say, okay, I'm interested in picking up this project. So what does that mean? That means that person becomes what we are calling guest editor. We help that person by translating through automatic translation the textbook and making sure that the textbook can then, you know, already have all the structure of the textbook for people to work on. And then, of course, there's a lot of work still left. You have to make sure the translations are correct. You have to localize. For example, if you're working in Arabic, you need to have the links leading to other pages in Arabic. So you have to find alternative pages. And there's a lot of work still left for the editors. And then you have to share, make sure that the textbook can be actually found, discovered in your own community. So this is what it looks like. These are some of the versions in this moment. The Spanish version, which I'm working on in this moment. The Chinese version, which is already passed on to the Chinese colleagues, and they are doing things there. And a Polish version, which is also being run in this moment, and people are trying to do corrections. I'm sorry about these slides in Spanish. Today's a very strange day. I have to just go from one language to another. Okay, so I think that's about it. So this has been a great adventure, the whole adventure. AI4T has been a great adventure. The textbook has been a great adventure. We've done a version 2, and it's obvious that between January and today, so many things have already happened, which means that somehow we have to find ways to continue this work and to imagine a version or a third edition in a future. I mean, just you will know because it will be on the AI4T platform. I'm sorry, I have got a lot of room. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. Perfect. And thank you for joining us again. I know you're very busy, but this is lovely to have you here to present the textbook. Yes, and as Colin has mentioned, I've put the links there in the chat again. All welcome. Yes, the languages are, of course, of the consortium. And then people who do show interest, we try to support them, Colin especially with his team, to enable the translation of the textbook. I know Colin won't be able to be here with us later on because he has another presentation on the other part of the world. So just ask your question. We do have, we can also help you, or we can pass the question then later on to Colin, and he'll be in touch with you. Just to let you know, the poll is still open. We have 80% of your responses. Those of you who still haven't had the chance, I will kindly invite you to give us your feedback. And to continue, and I would like to thank all of the panelists so far for keeping the time. Now, Benedict, can you please present the MOOC to everybody who's here with us today?
Yes, with pleasure. It is said that I cannot share my screen. Is this possible for you? I think, Colin, maybe you should stop sharing because thanks a lot. up. I made a rehearsal and I hope it worked. Are you seeing up?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
we are.
You are seeing, you're not exactly seeing what I wanted to share with you.
We see everything what you have, so that's
you
good.
See too much of it. You see too much of it. Okay. I made a rehearsal earlier on, but you know, sometimes things do not exactly work the way you want. It's not a problem. So, but first of all, I wanted to say that it's a pleasure to be with you today to present you the MOOC that was designed and developed within the context of AI4T. And maybe we can start with looking at the teaser. Tell me if it's okay for you?
We can see it, but I'm not sure if we can hear it. You would need to enable.
We were supposed to be sharing also. Someone said that Is this okay? I'm sorry. Mettre le partage, reprendre le partage, je partage.
Yeah, you have to share the sound, yeah.
But there is not an option in this, you know?
Okay, then just if you can just share the video.
When you share, they ask you whether you want to share.
Yeah. If it's a matter of video, yes. Benedict, I can also share.
Okay, I think I got it. Finally.
Okay, perfect.
Ta-da! Sorry, guys. I'm back.
That's quite okay.
Okay, let's go now.
AI applications and technologies are now an integral part of our daily lives. They are also making their way into education with, for example, automatic text translation, dialogue with an educational chatbot, or automatic recommendation of educational resources. A teacher may then ask, what is the place and impact of these AI tools in my teaching practices? What can AI do for my students? How can AI tools support the evolution of the education system? Aim of this MOOC is to help teachers and the educational community as a whole answer these questions by shedding light on the potential uses of AI in education, the basics of AI and its limitations, the different types of AI and the role of data, AI tools and precautions for use in education. The course includes a wide range of content formats, texts, videos, activities, and quizzes, enabling a concrete understanding of AI technologies, support for the informed use of AI tools in education. This course has been developed and made available to teachers and school leaders as part of the Erasmus Plus European project, Artificial Intelligence for and by Teachers, which brought together 17 partners, ministries, universities, training and evaluation organizations in France, Ireland, Italy, Luxembourg, and Slovenia. Each course resource is available in 5 languages and can be freely reused to build your own training program. Join the MOOC, discover and experiment with AI to form your own opinion on its uses and challenges in education. AI applications and technology
was enough. So let's. The MOOC has been designed and developed at the core resources of the project Training Pathway, which was co-designed with partners and including synchronous training sessions, face-to-face and webinars. All resources are hosted on a portal. So contents were initially created in English, then translated into the 4 other languages of the consortium, French, German, Italian, and Slovenian. Thanks to automatic translation and the proofreading of partners, all versions are available on this multilingual portal. The MOOC is organized in 4 modules with text, videos, and pedagogical online activities as quiz, activities, and tutorials. Each content of the MOOC is associated with a set of metadata according to the Dublin Core Standard. There are numerous educational videos based on partners' expertise. For example, there are 3 videos, a walk through AI, dealing with the learning process in education, reading purpose to success, and learning analytics that are based on the long-standing work of Anne and her lawyer team on AI, education, and learning analytics. Then the MOOC proposes several activities to experiment how AI works. In this tutorial, for example, learners are asked to identify whether an image is real or produced by an AI. This activity is an introduction to GAN, Generative Adversarial Network. It proposed to discriminate real portraits from portraits generated by GAN. In the second section of the portal are gathered document resources and tools that contributed to the project, from its conception to its implementation in the context of the AI4T experimentation. The third section of the portal is Build Your Own Training. It's a step-by-step methodology to support those who wish to use the AI4T MOOC resources, translate them, and organize them to build their own AI for teacher training. To create and host the MOOC resources and complementary training resources, we choose to use GitHub, a tool normally used by developers, but now increasingly used in educational projects. This solution enabled us to co-construct, organize, maintain, translate, and share the educational resources designed for AI4T. It's also open source and free of charge. We have been speaking about the resource and their hosting solution. Now it's time to speak about those resources. How can we propose them to learners on a large scale? So let's remember what a MOOC is. There are online resources that can be consulted asynchronously. They're also associated with a community of practice, which is a group of people or institution who share a common interest in the same practice, as well as a shared desire to improve their expertise and experience. And then a MOOC requires support from experts and tutors. And in our case, it's the MOOC pedagogical team. In France, the dissemination of AI4T is going on. The AI4T MOOC was integrated on Fun platform and complemented by a forum hosted on Discourse. The MOOC was launched at the Educatech Paris Fair on November 16 last year. There are over 13,160 learners registered today. Animation is made by a team of experts on AI education and pedagogy. And there are numerous posts in the forum that unveil teacher engagement and they share in practice and contents. The engagement of the forum and in the course is backed up by expert webinars. Every 2 months, the MOOC pedagogical team gathers to propose webinars dedicated to using AI in education. Our aim is to offer talks by experts to shed a new light on AI in education and give people the opportunity to take a step back and think about its use and applications. During the webinars, we also include a time for sharing practices in order to add to the repertoire of use of the teachers, trainers, and pedagogical engineers that make up the vast majority of the MOOC learners. A special mention here to our host, which is Thierry Vieilleville, who he is a researcher on computational neuroscience and is a former head of scientific mediation at INRIA. He has an incredible talent for making complex subjects available to as many people as possible. And he's very good at bringing out the best in the chat and the forum contribution. Sorry. For our first webinar, we wanted to offer a vision of AI in education that explores less common paths, such as Pierre-Yves Oudeyer's work on curiosity, its role in education, and how it is central to his work in designing adaptive learning solutions, or Margarita Romero's focus on creativity, a notion not always associated with the use of AI. For the second webinar, we wanted to share with learners some outcome of the evaluation of the project, which was also shared with you earlier on today. And for the practice sharing talk, we invited Laetitia Allegrini on educational chatbots. We discovered her work because she made a post in the forum of the first webinar. And now we are planning a third webinar at the end of May on generative AI. So this is where all the resources can be found. And what we wanted to say that we know that change is difficult. I mean, we are asking people to change their practices and put AI into it. But we also believe that we cannot prescribe change, but we are strongly convinced that with the help of peers and the help of a community of practice, it will be possible to go to the target we have been working on for 3 years. And I'd like to thank also Manuel for the great job Italy has done for the experimentation, because the idea is that having small groups with a strong tutorate is something that we think is maybe the most relevant way of using the resources we've been working on for AI4T. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Benedict. Perfect. For this lovely presentation. So you have in the chat also the link to the MOOC. I'm so sorry. Doing a couple of things at the same time, and then you sort of are dispersed. So at this stage, with the primary presentations complete, if you do have any questions, I've been monitoring here in the chat the questions that there is a comment in the Padlet. Our colleague Immacolata would share that she's a science teacher in a high school, highly motivated to collaborate in researching for creating new tools for students and teachers. She posted her link there. And in the chat, our colleague, our participant today, Albert, commented that students do love ChatGPT, but use it very poorly. Yes, this is something that we can also address later on in the discussion, in the panel discussion. So maybe at this stage, does anybody have any questions regarding the presentations that have been done regarding the either evaluation, MOOC, or the textbook? So I'm just going to wait for a minute, maybe two. And if not, at the end, we do have the floor open for questions and for any kind of comments. So at this stage, I will shortly. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Benedict, for sharing everything. So this, in the second part of today's webinar, we wanted to open the discussion a bit with different. So you know, in every Erasmus project, so you go into that area of defining well your target groups. On one hand, of course, the teachers were a very clear target group for us. Nevertheless, once everything got rolling, if I may say so, we needed to broaden and actually address other target groups at the same time. So at this stage, I would like to share the poll results with you. So thank you, everybody, for responding. We've got actually a very good. Thank you, Mr. Hudson, for the congratulations. Yes, the timing was very good for us. Yes, it is actually quite perfect, if we might add. So I'm going to end the poll and share the results with you. So can you see the results? Manuel, please. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just going to make it a bit bigger. Hope it's okay. So yes, the majority of you here with us today are teachers. We are very happy to see that we have a diverse group here. Yes, for the comment in the chat, we know that many of you are in different roles. This is quite common in the educational area. Nevertheless, we wanted to see how you first identify. So if you identify as a teacher or as a researcher, that was the goal of the first question. And then, of course, we gave we wanted to see your insights regarding So from the policy point of view, from the teacher point of view, and from the researcher point of view. So this is something, the second questions was regarding competences that future teachers should have, which is interesting. We have here the use of data in AI, a very important topic, of course.
Very important, yeah.
Critical thinking is actually the highest rated. I completely agree. Manuel, you can also debate this with, And then we have, the critical thinking, understanding the use of data, very important. And then immediately following is adaptability. I think everybody today, teachers are supposed to be quite multifaceted individuals, knowing and understanding more than it was thought of just a while ago. So thank you for this feedback. For the second question, for the third question, for the policy, for the research level, which is interesting. Yes, the majority of you would say the freedom of research, which is here a very important focus. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, very important. Also, according to the news that come from European Commission and a publication of AI Act that will define and regulate also the research area in the field of AI and education. So it's very important that there is this kind of approach among our participants. So
very good, perfect. And the fourth question regarding policy and policy changes and systemics. So let me see the percentage. Oh, this is the close call. So student-centered approaches, interesting. And then we have between the professional development and teacher collaboration. Yes. I mean, here with our project, Manuel, I can say that we completely agree with these statements.
Yeah. It's interesting that the team of the recognizing of the and the evaluation of the critical role of teacher received not so much attention among the participants. It's a big topic in the room. Yeah.
And then there was the last question regarding the adaptation of AI technologies in education, keeping in mind, of course, the ethical considerations, a very important part, and the well-being of students. And here we have, of course, again, teacher trainings, supporting educators in integrating AI effectively, and ethical safeguards, of course. This is something that also, as you mentioned, Manuel, the AI Act does try to and strive to make sure that we all follow, that there is some basic guideline that people who use it are on one side aware of it, on the other side, of course, that we are protected. And with this is give us a very lovely starting point from for the panel discussion. And I'll just quickly share my screen to present our panelists today. Oh, so this is the Padlet, if you would like to add anything. So today, for the panel discussion, I'm just going to mention who's with us here today. So Borut, alphabetically. Borut, my colleague here from the Ministry of Education, presenting the national policy level on this level. And then we have Gerard Kraus, I hope I pronounced your name well, from Luxembourg. He's a teacher and also an assistant from one of our partners from Script. We have a headmaster from Slovenia, Mr. Herman Pušnik, here with us today also to present a sort of a focus point from a school environment. Michael Hallisey from H2 Learning, he's here today on a multi-layered representative, as a multi-layered representative. Nevertheless, we're going to have him here as a EU policy level, being much involved in that part. Neil Larkin from Teacher Training Institution from Ireland. I sincerely hope I pronounced your name well. I haven't practiced up front. And Stefania Bocconi, a colleague from Manuel, joining us as a researcher. And at this point, Manuel, I'm passing the floor to you. I'm going to read you the questions.
So let's try to outline with our expert what lies ahead in the future. So with the panelists, we will try also to understand what action are needed to meet the challenges raised by AI innovation. So we can start from the point of view of teacher, and so I asked Herman and Niall about how the emergence of new literacy, such as data literacy and AI literacy, will likely have an impact on teacher professional development. We know that there is a great interest also from international organizations like UNESCO in defining the competence framework of the future teacher. So being able to imagine the future teacher profile, what competencies they should have, and what is currently lacking in teachers' professional education pathways. So Herman, could you start?
Hello. Nice to meet all you. I told Mr. Taberek that English is my first foreign language. The first one is German and the French. But
Herman, sorry, there is a bit of echo in your audio, so I wonder if you...
Okay now?
Better.
Better, okay. And I say that I need some AI support, but Peter is the real support for me now. It's not possible to train all necessary competence for the future, but the future teachers need to be prepared for the constant changes, for the need to cooperate, to monitoring the innovations, and to show the good practices, and the competencies of new content, the critical thinking, and perhaps also for correct use of innovation in lessons are also needed in the future. The interventional exchanges are also very important for planning the future teacher curriculum.
Thank you, Herman. Now, Niall, what do you think about?
Yeah, good question, Manuel. So I suppose, look, for me, as a professional development provider for educators in Ireland, I suppose we recognise that the emergence of new literacies, just like data literacy and AI literacy, it requires, I suppose, a new and transformative approach to teacher training. The future teacher's profile, it requires a new skill set that blends traditional pedagogical skills with a fluency in these new literacies. I suppose currently we would see that many teachers' profession development opportunities, they do not sufficiently cover these new areas at all. This leaves a gap in their ability to harness the full potential of AI and data in education. So teacher training going forward, it really has to be redesigned and to include more hands-on practical experiences with AI technologies alongside discussions where teachers can talk, work together and discuss the ethical implications of data use and AI in the classroom. We find that these new learning experiences, they shouldn't only just be one-off experiences. It has to be sustained over time and ongoing support for teachers that as they integrate and use digital technologies, they're provided ongoing support to make sure they're making the best and most effective use of these technologies. In our work, we have already incorporated this approach. We're bringing new modules on AI into all of our new professional development opportunities. We're bringing teachers together to develop communities of practice with a specific focus on AI literacy and the use of new emerging AI tools in post-primary schools. We're also very excited about a new AI project we're involved in, an Erasmus Plus project on data literacy with primary school teachers. So it is really a very emerging and developing space, and it's one that really we have to keep a close eye on and to incorporate these new approaches into any existing professional development opportunities.
Thank you, Niall. Very interesting point of view. And of course, the theme of teacher competence is also related to the research in the field of education and education technology. So AI also raises a research question about. So we probably still do not have enough experimental evidence to fully understand the impact of AI-related technology on our students' cognitive development or on the effectiveness of the new teaching practice supported by this technology. So for Gerard and Stefania, is it possible to draw future scenarios? Should we adopt a conservative approach, or should we still guarantee the freedom of research and experimentation in the field of education? Stefania?
Thank you very much. Well, Manuel, this is a very crucial point, definitely in the future of research for investigating AI in education. We know that from the AI Act, there are many restrictions, many ethical implications, but still there is also a need to better frame, not only, I mean, to be consciously on all the ethical implications and avoid impacting students when doing research, but still there is a need to create a new framework of the problem for researching AI in education, considering that technology, as the results, very interesting results from this study has pointed out, technology has become really part of our life, and in a way it also impacted our personality. So it's impacting also our students' non-cognitive skills, what they are called 20th century skills. So there should be find a way where future research can shed light on these very complex dynamics and synergies between the person and the technology, and where technology can also be AI technology can also be investigated, and knowledge can be gained on how AI technology can augment human thinking as well as social and emotional skills. So I also believe there is another very crucial point, that is to involve more and more teachers and students in the research, particularly on this topic, and involve them also in helping them making possible futures. So to help them develop and reinforce anticipatory thinking skills, so that they can get into the discourse, can also participate in making possible futures with AI in education.
Thank you, Stefania. Gerard, what is your point of view?
Yes, I mean, I want to pick up on what Stefania just said. I think it is really important that we provide, I guess we could call it future-proofing for our students. They might be met with a reality that they don't really experience while they are at school, still under certain protections and in a certain protective environment. So it is really important, from my point of view, to allow research into this, because we have experienced that students are really quick to pick up on AI tools and technology tools in general. I think that goes back many generations. I know that my generation in school was way ahead of our teachers as far as technology was concerned, and I, for one, am experiencing similar things from the other side now. So I think that research into this is crucial. The ability to do research into this is crucial, but also staying ahead of the game, and making sure that what Neil said was to provide training, to provide information to teachers, to not leave anybody behind on that front. that is being included in teacher training is a brilliant idea. I think it's a crucial idea as well, but also the ease of entrance into this technology should be provided for colleagues who might have contact fears as far as technology or AI technology even is concerned. So all of those levels also are really important, and research is, of course, a link in that chain.
Yeah, I would like to go more deep on this theme because, of course, I'm a researcher, so I like to have your opinion about. I wonder if you had the opportunity to read some part of the AI Act published recently, and there are some constraints and some bans about the use of some kind of technology, AI technology, especially in the context of education. I pick, for example, the sentiment analysis is completely forbidden in the educational setting. What is your point of view about this kind of ban? The research should be free at the maximum level, or it is better to make some constraint and impose some rules about? The question is for everyone. So who wants to?
If I may, I just try to pick this very $1 million question. I mean, ideally, it should be totally free, but I also believe that given that there are, students, minor as usually, and the implication of results, the ethical implication from results of such kind of research is really highly risk. So, but still, I don't believe it could be at this stage, also from our from the existing digital innovation culture that we have. That is another key point that should be built through different kind of action. So not only for students, but at society level in general, I believe that we have a lot to build on the digital innovation culture. And so I believe that some restriction should in a way be applied. Nevertheless, I still believe that, the main key principle for research are to have no limits to improve the knowledge. Which is not a reply, it's just a number of consideration. But I hope that there will be the opportunity to further discuss also on this point.
Thank you, Stefania. So then we can move at policymaker levels, and we know we saw the presentation of our colleagues about the results of the AI4T project, but there is still a long way to go. So the question is for Borut and Michael. What systemic or policy change do you think are important to better prepare and support the teacher in their work in this changing landscape? And what efforts are required to point out the critical role that teachers play in navigating this shifting environment? Borut.
Yeah, maybe I will say something from Slovenian perspective and also from the project benefits from all. But I will also mention the policymakers, so of course it's connected. Because, in Slovenia, when we are running, let's say, these Erasmus projects, international project, we of course follow our national digital action plan, because we would like to update or, let's say, transform digital pedagogy, as well as to introduce assessment of digital competences of teachers and also basic knowledge of computer science. And with this project, actually, we follow that. But as you mentioned, teachers, also in our digital education action plan, is that we need to transform also the school leadership, as was already mentioned, before, to support these school communities. And we try to do this complementary, national level, national project, but also with let's say, synergies with colleagues from other country. And let's say what actually these project benefits were also connected, of course, with many things. But for us, it's important for all countries that we got a validated comprehensive model for teacher learning on AI. And also this evaluation, qualitative and quantitative, show us also not only the progress of teacher knowledge, but also some qualitative, let's say, answers from headmasters and also students. And of course, we got this impact evaluation and subsequent policy recommendation what needs to be done. And what we got, of course, as you mentioned, we have now new validated approach, and those who are already introduced also in our future or existing activities. So we, in all countries, we update the priorities on teacher training, also the methodology, not just the content as AI. And of course, we have some, let's say, updated development project at national or some in bigger country, also regional level. But we also have some impact, let's say, in policy makers at EU level. For example, we present the project in group, Delta, we call it Delta, digital education as training and learning and assessment at European level. And we, based on the results, we also discuss the future possibilities on this. And maybe to finish, especially connected with the teachers in Slovenia, because we had quite a big example in evaluation. And this evaluation in Slovenia showed that the number of teachers actually who feel fear, mistrust, uncertainty, worry on one side, but also the number of teachers who feel pleasure, fun, joy, and satisfaction with AI, the numbers of both groups increased, So, and this actually clearly indicated that it is essential to really train teachers and principals, and especially to offer them more experiences as much as possible through the development project. And this is, for example, what is very important for Slovenia. And actually, we already now published some public tenders. So I hope I answered your question. Yeah.
For sure. Michael.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, so I suppose you've asked me to kind of give a little bit of a broader European perspective. As you said, I work for H2 Learning, but I also work with the European Commission on their Delta working group. And this is where this project actually was born. It was born in Ljubljana. So Borat takes a lot of, and it was before Petra's time, but it was Borat and others, Alan Tilley, who's on the webinar today, and others who really came up with this idea. I think from a policy point of view, I think first of all, I want to say it's probably too early at the moment for ministries of education to actually have definitive policies on AI or on elements of AI, generative AI, which is sweeping our school systems at the moment. However, this project, AI4T, has really opened up a discussion in the ministries, and a number of the people that are on the call here today work at the ministry level, where they are taking the lessons from AI4T, and maybe they're not coming up with policies, but they are certainly coming up with guidelines. And I think there's a couple of areas here. There are guidelines, there are principles, and then I would suggest policies. So, Manuel, I think, it's maybe a bit early yet for definitive policies. To me, policies work at a couple of levels. They work at the macro level. So in our context, maybe that could be the European level, or it could be at a country level. Then it's at the the meso level, which could be a regional municipality, depending on where you are in Europe. And then there's the micro at the school level. So I think ultimately we need to be thinking about policies at all of these levels. And I think, you know, from a European point of view, some of the documentation that has been created, I have it here beside me, the ethical guidelines on the use of artificial intelligence and data in teaching and learning for educators is a very good start. Sorry, that's my phone. But you know, it lays out the guiding questions for educators, and I think it's a very good place for everybody to start. Some may argue that it's a little, you know, it's a little out of date already, but that's just that's the nature of this area. As Stefania and others have spoken, this is an emerging area. It's moving so quickly. So we need to be agile in what we do on a policy point of view. Also, again, you can't see it, but another document we might, Petra, put in the chat is the French ministry has been very much to the fore in this. We had a very strong French partnerships in the AI4T, and the French Ministry of Education published a document in January. It's entitled Artificial Intelligence and Education, Research Contributions and Challenges for Public Policies, which is a really excellent document. It's available in English, hence I'm able to read it, but it's really good. And just finally then, your last question on the teacher, or maybe one last point on the policies. I think whatever we do, in schools, we can learn a lot from other sectors, primarily from the university sector, because they have been dealing with this in a very proactive way. So I think this is a space we're going to evolve. I think the role of the teacher, and as being a former teacher, is key. I mean, they are the people in their classrooms who will initiate change. They are the ones who will, you know, organize learning. They will organize assessment strategies. And I think we really need our teachers, going back to Jared's earlier comments, to be at least confident and competent to start talking about these tools. Niall mentioned discussion. I think it's critical. And these are the discussions we need to have in our schools so that teachers know what's expected among their colleagues, what people are doing, and not feel intimidated, and certainly not feel that this is something that they should not deal with.
Thank you, Michael. Petra.
Okay. So I've been monitoring, as you can see, I'm all over the place. Yes, Cyril, I'm trying to find it. Michael, if you have it anywhere, the link near, please share it with me. Otherwise, I'm going to find it. Nevertheless, so I'm going to pick up on this point, on the first comment Albert made, and I would ask the panelists maybe to start with Gerard about students. So we do know that, let's say, students do pick up on novelties a bit sooner than teachers do. Of course, teachers have a different kind of mindset and have a different perspective. But how would you actually respond? How would you comment the use of AI in education from a student point of view and in that relation towards the teacher?
The experience that I have made is that AI has become the shortcut to making things really easy. As an English teacher, it turns into, okay, here's a text that we're going to be working on. We need to answer these questions. We need to work on some detailed reading skills. And the students basically feed the text into a platform. They ask the machine the question, and they get answers based on that. That is very useful to get a quick answer out of something. But I fear that unless we include an approach to teaching how to use AI properly, we're going to lose, I think it was Neil who said earlier, critical reading skills, where basically we're going to just blindly turn to things. I have used AI on a number of different occasions outside of education as well, and I was quite happy to have these critical thinking skills to basically go back and say, well, yeah, that's not quite right, and then use a number of platforms. But the same thing happened around the time when Wikipedia really took off. Students were just basically pouring into Wikipedia and just blindly copy pasting without really going for the questions. I turned to them and said, Wikipedia is a great resource, but what you actually want to look for is the links at the bottom of the pages so that you can get to the actual core texts and find your solutions there. So I mean, again, I said earlier that it's a story that keeps on repeating, and this is really what we need to address. Is it's fine to use, but remember that there is a way to use it, and you can't stop thinking if you use it, neither before you use it or after you use it.
Yeah, there is a comment actually. I've just copied them instead of not to forget anything. Yes, a comment from one of the participants that saying that he's seeing, or she, I'm sorry, colleagues, teachers spending a lot of time to find a good AI detector. Yes, so then you come into the loop where you, on one hand, would like to incentivize creativity, innovation, etc., but then you find yourself immediately still. It's a very, very difficult landscape at the moment. And Neil, I saw you unmuting yourself. A comment here from your side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look, George, what he's saying is really, I can relate to it. We see the same in an Irish context, both in primary schools and post-primary schools. I suppose in primary schools, it is generally more teacher-led, because a lot of these tools, they do require logins and sign-ups, but a lot of our children, of course, in primary schools are under the digital age of consent. But teachers use it very creatively to even generate to improve children's descriptive language. So they're feeding a prompt to an AI image generator, and then pupils are saying, no, that's not what I was talking about. And it's showing children and students at a young age that they can, the better their prompt is, the better the answer is. So in a young age in Ireland, we're teaching a lot about AI literacy and the importance of knowing what these tools can and cannot do. Really agreed with Jordan saying, about students being critical. And in a post-primary setting, we had a group of teachers come together with a few discussions. And the big thing was coming from teachers was, are students going to use this to cheat? And they will. Students will always find ways to cheat. Or are you going to use it as a tool to support you, a sounding board? But it's teaching them that they have to be very critical of what they're reading. And it's something we do anyway with the internet. You have to be critical of everything you read on the internet, using multiple sources of information. It's the same as with AI. AI, they learn very quickly. They cannot trust AI machines or large language models to give them an accurate response. They have to be critical. They have to review it. It's teaching them to be critical about not only the text they see, the images, the video. So it's to teach them a lot about digital citizenship at a very young age as well, which is a real positive to these tools.
Exactly. Yeah, very, very well put. We do have a question on research, but nevertheless, I would I would go from students to now to the school level. We had a comment from a colleague, from a participant, that she's working on a strategy and guidelines for our school. And they were really hoping for an EU set of guidelines for AI in education before September. So I know at this point I would like to ask again Herman, from the principal from the Slovenian school. I know the AI4T project has really offered a space for you at your school in Maribor to engage all of the students, all of the teachers, sorry, in investigating in AI. Can you just, was that a strategical decision from your side? Did you find it as a necessity? And was it difficult to engage all of the teachers?
Our activities at our school was so that we compare two teams. One was this from the project AI for the teacher, and the second one was a permanent team for organization of information activities. That means that our team of teachers who take care of didactic support or pedagogical dissemination of new programs, tools, and so on. And they together, motivated all of our teacher, and to not just to know the new tools and to compare some lessons and to see some good practices, but also to practice this in the lessons of all of subjects, because we have in this team also teachers from different subjects, maths teacher, informatics, science teacher, and so on. And it was also good because the students cooperated also with our teacher very good, because we have also another program. It's the program to cooperative teaching and cooperative learning, and they cooperated together, and it's especially some comments of our students. Some of them, they say that it's for first time that they can ask any questions to these ChatGPT or other platforms without any consequences. And on the other side, they say that they used a lot of application for science before this ChatGPT or for maths. And for now, they can use also the new tools, and the new tools are also very good grammatical structure in Slovenian language. It's also for first time for our country.
Thank you. Perfect. And yes, I would like to pick up on all of these actually segments and continue from on one hand, of course, the school level, and joining with the AI detectors. And Michael, I'm going to add here the set of guidelines. We had the question from one of the participants. Ellen has been sharing with us some information also in the chat. Everybody's welcome to join the expert group, those who are here with us today. Ellen was also one of the initial thinkers behind this project. So thank you, Ellen, for joining us today for this event. And Michael, I'm going to pass the word for you. So on the detectors part, and I know Ireland is very active on the guidance part. So having a strategic, a national focus point, let's say, how would you comment?
Well, I might call Niall in on the guidelines because they're not my baby, but just on the AI, on the detectors, I just wanted to make a couple of general points. Again, it's going back to something I said. We need to be looking here at other sectors, right? So universities. I mean, there is a huge amount has been in this area. I was at a conference in Ireland before Christmas on this topic. I think the literature and the research is quite clear that these detectors don't work. Okay, they might flag something is going on, but you need to be very careful. I heard a colleague of mine in one of our universities telling me that they've been advised to have robust conversations with their students. Now, Petra, I don't know what they are, but I wouldn't like to be having a robust conversation with my students. I think what we need to be doing is it's going back to the point that Jared and others have been making, is we need to actually bring these tools into the classroom. The students, whether they're in university or whether they're in our schools, primary or second level, they don't know. They think they know, but they don't know. So we need to work with them, and the teacher needs to facilitate this and see that when you use it to create content, that then you start looking at it from a data literacy point of view, digital literacy, whatever term you need to do. So I think, focusing on detectors is not really effective at the moment. They may flag things that are going on. We really need to start critically looking at what is being produced, how it's being produced, and having discussions with our students, which then bridges into things like ethical guidelines, etc., and ethics, which the Commission has created on. But I'll go to Niall on the guidelines because he's been involved in that.
Yeah, thanks, Mick. I suppose, look, first of all, what we've made available to schools is, I suppose, 5 considerations when using an AI tool. So we tell them to first look at the ethical side of things. How is the data? Is the tool GDPR compliant? Never give personal information away. The second point is, the evidence of its impact and the accuracy of its output as well. look at policies and guidelines within your own school on this. Does the tool adhere to the relevant policies and guidelines within your school or within your organization? And then finally, be aware of bias. But we have put together kind of draft guidelines on the use of Gen AI for schools that has gone to the Department of Education in Ireland kind of for approval, and we anticipate it'll be ready for schools soon, so it'll be rolled out to all primary, post-primary and special schools within Ireland.
Perfect, thank you. There is a question that sort of relates to everything here that we have been saying, and it's targeting a different target group. And because we have just a couple of minutes left in this moment, I'm going to share the Menti results, which I think do show us what we do know that still is related to AI in education. So from opportunity innovation to challenge bias, critical thinking, ethics, of course, everything that has been addressed today. But the question that is, of course, pending, and I'll just pass the floor to anybody who would like to reply. So should we be asking parents to opt in or opt out of using AI in classroom? So parents are a very important target group, a critical target group when we are talking about learners and our children. How do you comment? Silence. Should I pick somebody?
Yeah.
Borut. Yeah? Borut. What's your point of view with parents and AI?
Yeah, parents, are very important, not just on AI, but also on the other activities. But so, for example, we call it, but not we, this family DNA on digital things, and especially on AI should be somehow introduced to the families. So this is for sure. But for the parents, they could profit a lot from their children, or students. But then we are in the circles, who should do something, and usually we always wait for someone to start, So we should provide, let's say, this spiral movement. So we all stakeholders doing, but of course in the right way. So shortly.
Yeah. Yeah, shortly. We are currently in Slovenia planning a new project on digital citizenship, actually focusing on parents. So the key target group are parents, exactly for that too, because there's a need for informed decision making and at the right stage, let's say it as such as we can, if we can. This is an opportunity and a historical moment where we cannot shy away from it. We need to make informed decisions and learn about it and know about it. So this is also something that our event was for today. AIM, thank you also everybody for sharing for Elaine, for sharing the expert group, and for the Erasmus Plus, for the call for the 6th of June. Ms. Hudson. So thank you, everybody. If there are, you can still ask a question, but with the AI4T group, we really like to be on time and keep the time limit. I would very much, in my name, like to thank everybody who has taken their time from the participant point of view to join us. And of course, to each and everybody from the panel. Thank you for taking the time. Manuel?
Thank you. Thank you, all the participants, all our experts. And the question is this really the end of AI4T, or we have to do other things? No, it's a joke. I hope not, and especially I think not. So we have to continue, and I would like to invite all the participants to keep in contact for the next project, so the next activity. Yeah.
as we saw from the feedback, collaboration and continuous development, not only for teachers, but I think for all of us is, of course, in order at this point. So thank you, everybody, for your time, for your efforts, and hope to see you soon again. Follow us. The recording will be available on our webpage. Share it. The MOOC is available free to use and to share. Same thing, the textbook and all of the project results are published on our webpage. You will also find a resource page. We try to stay, let's say, on the top of everything that's been newly published regarding AI. So there is a special segment with the resources, so you can visit and follow us there.
And of course, thank you to Petra for the perfect organization as usual. So thank you, Petra.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Bye.
Have a lovely afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.